and all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today.
Welcome, my friends, and truly, this is your moment. You got to ring the victory bell for being here and being so amazing. And you know who else is also amazing? My next guest. Let me tell you all about him. The amazing James Feldman, Certified Speaking Professional, or CSP from the NSA, is a forward-thinking leader and an early adopter of technology. He is continually influencing business practices. He has received global recognition, including being named one of the most innovative persons in the 21st century. Woo! By Incentive magazine. Over 20 published books demonstrate his groundbreaking problem-solving and innovation approach. He is recognized for his expertise in transforming organizations by leveraging cutting-edge technology and innovative problem-solving methods. Feldman has worked for Fortune 100 industries, helping them to embrace emerging technologies such as AI to drive growth and operational excellence. James is a critical figure in the business transformation and future forward thinking. So without any further delay, let's welcome the one, the only, super talented, super handsome, the one who walked to school uphill both ways in the snow, barefoot, the one and only James Feldman. Hey, James, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. And if you want to be fantastic, click that link below so that you can engage during the live. All right, folks. So without any other delay, let's dive right into questions here. So James and I, we've known each other for a few years now, in different speaking circles. And I was so happy to hear that you had time to come on our show and just grace us with your presence. So I think the big word today is like, how do I use AI? And so my first question is like, how do you customize ChatGPT?
Well, ChatGPT is somewhat the poster child these days of AI,
Yeah.
but 95% of the people that are using it don't understand its capabilities. So the first thing you need to do is open up your ChatGPT. In the upper right corner, there's an icon or a picture, whatever you've done for your profile. You click on it, and a menu drops down. Now, here's the first thing. None of these tools come with instruction manuals. You got to figure out most of this yourself, or find someone like me who is spending an inordinate amount of time clicking on buttons, wandering around saying, well, I wonder what this happens, that happens. But let me get back there. The menu drops down and it says customize for one of the drop downs. You open it up and it has two questions. First question is, who are you? So in that you have 1,500 words to describe who you are. Now remember, you're describing this to your assistant. So rule number 2, stop treating it like it's an AI or a bot or the Terminator, but an assistant. So my assistant is named Mr. Spock. So when I hire Mr. Spock, I say, let me tell you who I am. And that's what the first 1,500 words are for. The second part is, remember, I'm hiring Mr. Spock. This is how I want you to talk to me. When I ask you to do something, I want it in this format. I don't want this, or I do want that. And the good news is, as you and Mr. Spock get to know each other better, you can go in and change this as many times as you want. You will find that this is not working on the free version of ChatGPT, which is the second thing that surprises me, that people are losing out on 80 to 90% of its capacity by not spending $20. Come on, people. Is your life, is your business
I got
not
the
working?
version. I got ChatGPT 4.01. It's very useful.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yes. It's $20. It's a Starbucks and a half less per week. How's that?
Yeah. So now, after you program it, now what programs do you suggest if you wanted to basically take over the world in 6 months or less?
Well, there isn't a single program that does that because every program is
Hmm.
built on a different language model. So it's a different
Yeah.
interpretation. So for me, you got to recognize that ChatGPT is a general program. It does a lot of things for a lot of people. When you say take over the world how? Do you want to write music? Do you want to write poetry? Are you trying to write a new book? Then you look for the tool that's hyper focused on helping you reach that objective. So the first
Yeah.
thing you've got to do is be clear on your goals. What are you doing here?
Hmm.
What do you want it to do? The second thing is you got to prepare your tool, which is what I just said with, customize, etc. And by the way, there's typically a customization feature on many of the other programs. Once again, you got to look for it, find it, etc. And then I tell everybody, think of it like you're a pilot. A pilot has a flight plan. The flight plan is I'm going to go from point A to point B. So
Hmm.
have you come up with a compelling vision? Where do you want to end up? Well, I want to take over the world. Take over the entire world, take over part of North America, part of the South America, so narrow it down. And then stop for a second. Who can help me? What other programs are out there? So there are tools to help you find other tools. But one of the really great tools for doing
Yeah.
that is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And ask ChatGPT, listen, I have other recommendations, and it will often give them to you. Now, you've got to remember that it's bias.
Yeah.
Who are they going to recommend? Who are they not going to recommend? Well, they're probably not going to recommend their biggest competitor. So just FYI, the next thing is write this down, put it on a post. Trust but verify.
Yep.
Remember,
Hmm.
all the information's coming off the internet. Sometimes there's stuff on the internet that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, in this political season, I'm sure every single campaign that is true, right? Hint, hint,
Uh,
wink, wink. So that verify, believe me, sarcastically, I totally understand what you mean.
yeah,
It's very important to. We have a gluttony of information out there, and it's up to us to make sure that it's the real information,
well,
because
Raj,
they're not
you
going to tell
notice
you.
you notice behind me, I have a shark wearing a goldfish mask.
Yeah. Hmm.
He's an
I see
imposter.
this.
How many imposters are out there? And
Yeah.
whether you're on a dating app or you're engaging somebody on social media, the truth of the matter is you don't know who you're really talking to. So be careful. There's a lot of imposters using AI and often using it better than you are.
True enough. So, uh, what about you know, uh, there's so many different AI programs out there that you mentioned. Um, in I'm like, I know that besides, you start thinking about I was thinking about like an Iron Man. He has Jarvis, or as his girl Friday, which is kind of humorous way of thinking about it. But that's exactly what it's going towards. And now I think Google just came out with their AI lenses. You could click on and just have it answer you, or and have like a like AI field overlay within the lens itself. I mean,
Yeah.
just it, and Google Glass came out what 10 years ago or 6 years ago, something like
And
that. So
didn't do well. Didn't do
it
well at
didn't do
all.
well. No, no. I mean, it's well, it was also the one of the early adopters and trying to uh, use it. So, I'm sure there were growing pains in learning how people are going to use it and how it's going to survive the real world.
Yeah.
Um, but as we move forward, there's so many different programs. Like I use ChatGPT. I also use Perplexity. I also use there's different things within like a designer in Canva, and there's AI within even people. A lot of people use Grammarly within like Microsoft Office or something like that. There's where can people find free programs, or do you think that they should pay for them?
Everyone that's making a program is in business. So if you're
Yeah,
using the complimentary or the free or the trial, remember they're holding back all the bells and whistles for the people that are paying for it.
yeah,
So my suggestion is you establish a budget, pick a number for conversation. Let's say it's $100 a month. Okay.
Mhm.
So for $100 a month, I can find X number of programs to do what I want. My first recommendation is do not pay for anything initially.
Mhm.
Try the trial version, the free version, see how you like it, see what their customer service is like, see if you understand, because a lot of these big programs require an engineering degree to use, although they are very powerful, they're not particularly user friendly. So
Right.
in answer to your comment, I'm totally on board. ChatGPT, Perplexity.ai because of its amazing research. And
Mhm.
every single thing I do, say, print goes through Grammarly. And then when
Yep.
I'm done, in the bottom right corner, Grammarly has a plagiarism checker.
Mm.
And the fun thing with that is that it learns. What it hasn't learned is that when I'm writing and it does the plagiarism checker and it comes back and says, you've plagiarized 68% from James Feldman, I remind it I am James Feldman, but it does not seem to get that. So it's
Yeah.
just an ongoing joke between me and Grammarly.
Gotcha. That's pretty funny. Now, I remember, and like you're saying earlier, for me, I'm a futurist too. I love technology, and being a scientist, I always want to see where can we push the envelope with technology. I've also watched Terminator when I was a kid, and and I'm always wondering when is the tipping point when our AI overlords are going to take over the world. And I certainly hope it's not in our lifetime. Um, but right now, I think of it the way I see it is a really most of these AI tools, they're really advanced search engines. They're algorithms at this point. And if you train the algorithms to do the job well, think of it like you were saying. I love your analogy about think of it as a virtual assistant, and you have to train your assistant. How do you work? What is it that you want to do? What are your expectations? And if you train your AI tool the same way, you're going to get the results that you want a little bit faster, and that's really going to be key.
I refer to AI as accelerated insights
Hmm.
or assisted insights. At the end of
Yeah,
the day, you still got to use your brain. You still got to decide what you're going to do with it, how you're going to use it. But the advantage is the speed and
yeah,
the depth and the reach. The other thing that I'm always open to is suggestions. So if I'm asking XY, I will always say, and any other suggestions you might have, because sometimes it comes back with something to go, OMG, I never thought of that before, or I hadn't gone in that direction. And so what you do is copy that, put it back into that same conversation. Very, very, very important. Do not start a new conversation because the only way it's learning is if you're continuing the conversation. Think of it as your assistant. You've
yeah.
given your assistant a file folder for XYZ, comes back with an answer. You take the file folder, you put it away. Now the assistant comes back in the room and say, "Hey, I meant to ask you one more question. Where's my file folder? No, it's gone. Well, it can't answer the question because it can't go back and look at what it already said.
Yeah,
So the more you visualize the interaction between your physical assistant, which is really your chat or your perplexity or whatever, the better your results. And that's
gotcha.
called a prompt. And of course,
Hmm.
you need to establish how to write a prompt. And a prompt is not that complicated. Who are you? What's your objective? And what are you going to do with it? And as long as you're answering those three questions in every prompt, it's pretty amazing. Now, if I
All
may,
right.
Raj, if you when you open up ChatGPT, you'll see something rolling all the time called AIPRM. That's another
Okay.
$20 a month, but it's got 4 to 500,000 prompts already done for you. So you can go into the deck and say, I want to write an SEO friendly article for LinkedIn of 1,500 words. It's got a prompt for it. And again, what it spits out is totally amazing compared to starting from scratch.
That was AI.prm
No,
or
AIPRM.
Okay, that's what I
When
put.
you're
Good, good.
opening up ChatGPT, you'll see it in the background. You'll see they're pushing it. I don't know if OpenAI has got a share in it or what the deal is, but you can't get away from it. It's there all the time.
Really? Okay. I'll have to look into that next time I get a break here. Um, so, Jim, first of all, I gotta say, like, we've been friends a while. Like, I'm so happy you came on the show, and this is this is just a ton of useful information because a lot of people who are still struggling and trying to figure out what to do with AI, you're one of the experts in it, and I gotta say, I gotta give you a victory belt for that because, there's a lot of people out there that are, everybody knows me, like, I'm not a hype artist and I don't like fake gurus on the internet saying, "Oh, you can make $1 million in 30 days with no work." It doesn't work that way.
No.
And you got to view this as a business. You have to learn first how to be a business owner, how to run a business, how to be in the business, and then later on how to work on the business, not in the business, by hiring staff or VAs and then building it out and scaling. You have to decide how do we manage operations and workflows, and how do you how do you work about client retention and client acquisition. There's so many different aspects of becoming a business owner that just happens to be online. So just because you're an internet online something doesn't mean you're going to have an instant win. It's still work. It's still building a business. And these AI tools finally streamline. They really give you, instead of a sledgehammer to chop down a tree, they give you an axe to chop down a tree, and it really just streamlines down the time. If you forward back 25 years, when the internet boom was happening in the late 90s, people were saying, "Oh, well, now I'm an internet person. I'm an internet company." No, if you're a carpenter and you get a circular saw, you're not in the circular saw business. You're still a carpenter that speeds up your work using that circular saw. And that's what the internet is. It's a speed up tool. And for example, this weekend, I just wrote another ebook. I literally wrote it in maybe half an hour, using AI to give me my chapter headings, and then I wrote my text, and then I had to clean it up, and then I had it choose a template, and then I chose a template for it to kind of organize everything and make it look clean and pretty. And what would have taken me definitely days, maybe a week, I did in maybe half an hour. I mean, that's the power of this. So now that becomes a free lead magnet to an audience. All of a sudden now you're putting out content that they need and want, and you're doing it that's so relevant to them. And now James has an amazing gift that he'd like to share with all of you, and I would highly encourage all of you to click that link down below. Here is James's link. It's going to take you to an app called Talkadot, and you put in that code Purdue, Purdue, and it will. And James, tell them, what are they going to get when they give that?
So currently, there's about 350,000 AI tools and apps out there. So there's really no way to figure it out unless you've got somebody like me who spends an inordinate amount of time trying to help everybody else. So these are 50 tools that I've used, I've tested with the hyperlinks and a description. In addition, I put in 100 prompts. So this download jumpstarts you and your conversation with your equivalent of Mr. Spock.
I love it. I love it. I'm definitely downloading that myself. My friends, go ahead and click that link down below. It'll be in the show notes as well as in the banner on YouTube and in the links in the podcast. So I definitely can click on that. So now, James, we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about what I call the softer side of Sears. We know how amazing you are, but people want to connect with you because you're a person, not a business. So, well, let's find out all about you. Tell me, like, where did you grow up and how did you grow up?
So my father was a doctor. My mother was a real estate broker. I
Hmm.
grew up in a suburb of Chicago called Park Forest. And
Hmm.
I started my first business when I was 7 years old. I went to my mother and I said, I'd like an allowance. She said, go talk to your father. So I went to my
Right.
father. I said, I'd like an allowance. Go talk to your mother.
Yeah.
So at 7 years old, I learned my first business lesson. Get all the decision makers in the room at the same time. They
Well,
were like, nah, we're not giving you an allowance. However, rule number 2, then what do you suggest? Always ask your customer, your client, If
Mm.
this isn't the product or service that you want, what else are you looking for? Because maybe I can help you. So I said, what else you got? You can wash the car. You can walk the dog. You can mow the yard. You can open up
Yeah.
a lemonade stand. Oh, lemonade stand. So here I am, 7 years old. I go outside, and there are lemonade stands up and down the street like they are growing on every single driveway.
Yeah.
And some of them had kiosks, and some of them had chairs and tables and cookies. And I'm like, there's just way too much competition.
Yeah.
So I went back inside, and my mother loved to tell this story. She says, Jim went into his room for about an hour. And he came out and he asked if we could go to Shoppers World, which was a precursor to the big box stores like a Costco or a
Yeah.
Sam's Club.
Hmm.
I priced out bulk lemonade, bulk paper cups, bulk sugar, and Ziploc bags. And I created Mom's Lemonade Kit. And so
Right.
at night, when they were all shutting down their lemonade stand, I went door to door, knock, hello, Mrs. Smith. I saw that Sally had a lemonade stand. I was wondering if you needed to have some more lemonade so that I could save you a trip to the store. So there's the
Oh,
what's in it for me. There was the benefit. And she'd
beautiful.
say, well, I don't know how much I need. And I said, well, I've put these together in 20 cups,
Yeah.
50 cups, and 100 cups. So it's
Hmm.
all measured out for you. At the end of the summer, I had $351 in the bank, and I never spent one day outside in the sweltering heat. And I've been a serial entrepreneur ever since.
I love it. I love it. Mom's lemonade stand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell that to my kids. I actually, you know what's funny? My daughter, when she wanted to do a lemonade stand, she wanted to originally she wanted to say, "All right, let's go get the lemons, and we got to get sugar, we got to get water, and we got to get containers and this and that." I said, Ava, my dear, why don't we just make it simple? Let's go down to the local Swiss farm and get a gallon of lemonade, and we already have cups. You just sell it. Guess what? Um, for a $3 gallon of a lemonade, they made 21 bucks,
Yeah.
and it was simple, and that's it. And
Yeah.
that was in like half an hour. I think all told, when they finally closed shop, I think they made over uh, $51 from that $3 gallon of lemonade. So I told her, like, how much would it cost her to do all the lemons and the time and the sugar, and then how much we're going to spill, and we're going to clean it up and everything. I said, nope, we're going to outsource this. We're going to find a valuable supplier of lemonade, and we already had solo cups in the house, just extras from leftover parties and stuff. And so that's it. Uh, and what was great was that uh, 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 they learned a lesson too, the value of time. Because I told them, listen, we don't have time to do all of that, but what we can do is go grab the lemonade and go sell it. Now, when I was 7 years old, I went door to door. I drew pictures because I was a pretty good artist. I drew pictures of like landscapes or scenery or our street or some things like that. I just went door to door, going down the road, uh, selling them for like $5. And some of the more senior uh, citizens love that because they got a picture of their own street, and I put their address on the houses, so I personalize it to them. So I learned that at age 7. It's like, when you make it about them, what you were saying, like what's in it for me, that got me more sales. So tell me more about, like, so grown up. Did you have a particular film or a book that really inspired you to become who you are?
Well, there's many that have done that. I'm a
Yeah,
very avid movie watcher.
yeah,
Many of them I'm going to name for you. You may not have seen. I think Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid
mm,
shows optimism in the
yeah,
face of adversity. There were always the rosy outlook of things that were going on. I particularly like Wall Street. There's the
oh yeah,
famous greed is good speech.
greed is good.
But within that are sound bites. How many yachts can you water ski behind? What does it take to be successful? And he said
Yeah,
$50 million and your own private jet.
yeah,
I'm not sure that $50 million today would be the same number given inflation, etc. But
hmm,
if you listen to the nuances, if you listen to the messages, some of the most creative business and social learning lessons are in the middle of these movies. And of course, some of them are just sound bites, life is just a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to
Yeah.
get,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So for me, I go back to things that not only engage me, but help me escape. So a movie that I enjoy watching over and over is called The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman. And I clearly have a bromance with Hugh Jackman. Talented, good looking, can be the Wolverine 1 minute, can be the Music Man another minute, can be P.T. Barnum the third minute.
Yeah.
And you believe it every single time he does this. That's a talent. Tom Hanks is another one of those talents. You look at somebody
Oh,
like
yeah.
Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise traditionally does the same thing, but he does it as well or better than anybody out there. He's clearly become an action star. But then go to somebody
Mm-hmm.
like John Lithgow, and John Lithgow when he was Third Rock from the Sun
Yep.
versus the serial killer in Dexter,
In Dexter,
he
I remember
becomes
him.
he becomes such a good reference point that you forget you're looking at the actor and you buy into the character that portrays you. And so for me, when I'm giving a talk or I'm coaching somebody, I am always focused on the what's in it for me from their standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Can I
Got it.
shift?
Mm-hmm.
I will say to people, and I'll say to your group, I teach people how to think, not
Mm-hmm.
what to think.
Yeah.
You want information? It's out there on the internet. But what are you going to do with it? How are you going to use it? So I basically will say, use your chat, use your tools, and ask it questions. For instance, what movie would you recommend that has this particular business lesson in it? And it'll come up with
Right.
a half a dozen of them.
Yeah, come with great stuff. Mm-hmm.
My neighbors have a Sunday movie party every Sunday. They got a
Mm-hmm.
huge TV. So everybody brings something for dinner. I get a call. Jim, just a fair warning. Somebody's coming is a vegan vegetarian. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a carnivore. So
It's
I
like
went in.
vegetarian to the nth degree. It's
Exactly.
yep.
I went in. I
Yeah.
got 3 recipes. I then said, how do they taste? And they went kind of boring. I said, what would you do to make it better? Took the recipe, merged a couple of the things together, cooked the food, brought it to the table having no idea what was going to happen. This woman takes her first bite. She looks at me. She takes a second bite. She takes a third bite. She looks at me with this big smile. She goes, you were kidding. You know how to cook vegan and vegetarian. And I said, 60 minutes ago, I had never done it before in my life. And that was, thank you, Mr. Spock. So expand your use of the AI tools. It's just amazing. It works 24/7. It doesn't ask for a coffee break. It doesn't ask for a raise. It takes criticism well. However, it doesn't check its own work. It's never run a business. It has no opinion of its own. So as long as you understand who you're talking to and what you're getting, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't let it tell you to walk off the edge of a cliff without saying, "Wait a second, this this probably is not a good
That
idea."
that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like parallel it to like back when I was in college. My gosh, like MS DOS. Like Microsoft, like a digital operating system is. It was powerful if you knew how to use it. But then they made Windows 3.1 to be an overlay on top of it. And then finally Windows 95 became its own operating system. But before that, I used to close when Windows 3.1 that kept crashing all the time. And I would just play in DOS all the time. And then I learned C++ and HTML and just playing around and learning about these things. And so I remember these computer systems and these programs, they really are what you tell them what to do is what's going to happen. So let's move on to so we're running a little tight on time. So let's continue this here as like a speed dating round here. Give us some quick answers here. Like what is your favorite kind of music?
things that don't yell at me.
Gotcha.
Things that I can get a beat to, the words that I can understand without being
Hmm.
offended.
Yeah. Now, and I like mentioned a couple of films. What is like one of your top books that helped you change the way you think?
How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci,
Oh,
and
that sounds good.
The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Oh, I love Art of War. Great book. What about what is now? We talked about the vegan vegetarian. What is your favorite kind of food?
I can eat in any language.
Uh-huh.
At one point I was pushing 500 pounds. So I
Hmm.
was eating a lot. And
Oh
then I
dear.
got a
Yeah.
wake up call and basically decided to take control of what I was eating and paid more attention to it. But I can be happy with an Italian beef sandwich and poached salmon the same as I can with a cordon bleu Michelin 5-star dinner.
Gotcha. I love it. I love it. So hang on one second. Hello, old country buffet. Like, yeah, we need one of everything in the green room. Yeah, thank you. So also have a connection with the like European super buffet. So like they're gonna get you one of everything. So you get to pick and choose today what you like. So as we shift into our next segment, Jim, you've been an amazing guest. You get a ring of the victory bell. So before we do our 60-second mind shift, I want to ask you. What's one thing that you want people to recall about you?
Beware of distractions disguised as opportunities.
I love it.
Do your homework.
I love it. Do your praising man. Do your homework. I love it. I say that to my clients all the time. And like I said, it's about how you think, not what you think. It's beautiful. All right. Thank you, James. We're going to see you in just a minute. So, folks, as we go into a sponsor segment, I want to ask everybody here. You've heard, you actually saw just below that Jim actually had his own Talkadot. So it's a powerful tool. If you have not used it yet, first of all, let me make sure you grab James's gift. There it is down below. Go to Talkadot and use the code Purdue, and that way you'll be able to grab that 50 AI tools that he has worked on and approved of. I have over here our sponsor link for Potapalooza coming up shortly, so make sure you grab that link. Potapalooza coming up. You get to see a whole bunch of podcasters, and if you're a VIP, you get to be on up to 5 to 10 podcasts in one day. So why wouldn't you want to be part of that? As our VMA Mindshift mastermind is expanding, we're creating a new group for the next year for a one-time donation which goes to charity, by the way, 100%. You get lifetime access to that group. And lastly, I want to share with you, this is my Talkadot link because I want all of you to be able to take access to this tool. I got 105 testimonials in 1 hour right after my keynote speech at my last gig. So if you want to get that kind of feedback and it's powerful and it produces a report you can share with the event planner, definitely grab that. And without any further delay, it is time for the 60-second mind shift.
When you throw a rock into a lake, what happens? No, there's a splash. You make an impact, and then you get waves. And then you don't know where those waves are going. Those waves are going past around the reeds, and you don't know where that impact is. So all of you out there, when you're on stage, you don't know where your impact is going to end. It's never going to end.
All right, folks. So today for the 60-second mind shift, real fast, I want to ask you, James hit something really powerful, and that reminded me about something. He was talking about how we're not here to teach you what to think; we're teach you how to think. Now, think back to go to your educational upbringing. What did schools teach you? They taught you what to think. They told you memorize this, know this, remember this, but they never taught you how to think, how to discern information, how to create the value of the information that you would be learning, because the educational system goes back almost 100 years, where they had a factory system. They needed people to be educated just enough so they could be good employees. And as we've expanded forward 100 years, that system really has not evolved that much. So what is it that we can do to start to think a little bit differently and evolve our way of thinking, not just about what we're thinking. One thing is question everything. And by that, I mean, if something doesn't sound right, if you think that there's a better, cheaper, faster way, if you're going to improve a process, start questioning. Why is it that we do the things we do? I think that the simple idea of questioning why we do things is going to help you to open up the conversation and say, you know what, whether to your boss, your coworker, to your spouse, to your children, to, why are we doing this way? Why is it that, every morning we well, I wake up and eat breakfast, when a lot of like modern science tells us that, intermittent fasting can actually help you lose weight. Why is it that we are told, protein has to be 30% of your diet? Where did that come from? Right now, why are we using AI? Once again, is it the new internet of the 2000s? Or is it another super powerful tool that we use to speed up our advances? Start questioning. And you'll realize that as soon as you start to question everything, you'll get more questions that other people will ask you back, and that opens up the conversation. So let's bring back James here and find out if he left me any food from the green room here. So James, how was all the food?
Excellent.
And did you save me any?
You took all the calories out. Thank you.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Well, that was the plan all along. So James, what did you think about our 60-second training, and what would you add to it?
So I would add to it, think inside the box, not outside the box. If you look at a box,
yep,
and you're outside the box, you have no idea what's in here. And if the metaphor is that the problem is in here, then how can you come up with any rational decision, because you've got no information? So by going inside the box, you can find the components that make up the problem, move them out and identify them so they're outside their own shadow, and then look outside. Remember, you're inside the box. Look outside and see if anybody cares. Are you coming up with a solution to a problem that nobody's willing to pay for? Well, you don't need another hobby, so stop doing it.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you've identified the problem, you've come up with a solution, you think you found a market. Do you have the bandwidth and determination to carry it out there and spread the word? And I call that 3D thinking: depth, distance, and determination.
I love it. Oh, that's powerful. 3D thinking. I'll definitely be quoting you on that. So, James, as we get to the end of our show here, once again, thank you so much for being here and being amazing and sharing your gifts and your insight on AI with all of us. Make sure you all grab his link down below. I already gave it again, but here you go. Here it is again. Make sure you grab that link and put in the code Purdue so that you get the gift link that is associated with that QR or with that link. So, my friends, as we close out, I have one last question for you, James. If someone were to give you a blank check, unlimited resources, how would you use it to change the world with your grand vision?
I think the biggest thing facing us right now is global climate and sustainability initiative. We are only one planet, and we're not taking care of it. So I would focus on renewable energy. I would look at reforestation. I would look at sustainable urban development. I would look at clean technology, global education and awareness. If one more person says global warming is a hoax or whatever, they're just not listening to what the world is telling us, which is stop treating us like we are a toilet. We need climate adaptation, we need resilience, and we need a sustainable infrastructure to save our planet for the future of everyone on mankind.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this, you align really well with my thoughts about, as a scientist, I always like to say, where's the proof? We have the proof. We have decades and decades of proof. So Facebook did a test to see if people would actually believe the world is flat, and a couple of years ago. And the problem is, people fell for it, which means people are not looking deeper. They're not looking, like you said, inside the box. So question everything, and for my 2 cents, because I've worked on the COVID vaccine myself, viruses are real, my friends. I'm not going to debate people about that. We've done the science and we have the proof. It's real. And so just keep asking questions so that we continue the conversation. All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. This has been an amazing episode with the amazing James Feldman. I want to thank everyone for being here. And as always, this is Coach Raja. Believe it and become it. And we'll see you all on the next show. Bye-bye. All right, James. Great. So quick 3 questions for your testimonial, and we are out of here. What was your favorite part about being on the show today?
I think the fact that we were having an interactive conversation as opposed to something that was, let's just call it more canned or more rehearsed.
Yeah. And what was your biggest takeaway, either from the training or from any part of the show?
I think just a reminder of the things that I believe in that I probably don't talk about enough, like climate change and sustainability, etc. I'm working with a professor at Purdue that is focused on sustainable tourism. And it's just a reminder of we got to take care of where we live.
I love that. Let's take care of our planet so it takes care of us. And last question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you recommend me for somebody else's show?
12.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. Thank you so much, James. The podcast team knows what to do from here, and we are officially off the air. Thank you, everybody.